Hi Jake, thank you very much for coming to the interview today. So can you start off with telling us a bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, so I'm 19 years old and very interested in sport and specifically sport coaching for all ages. I'm very interested in working with children because I find that very rewarding.
Good, okay. And tell me about your experience of working as a sports coach then.
Yeah, so I started off just as a volunteer, volunteering for a under 11s team in the village, and that's progressed from a couple of years into that when I got my level 1 qualification in football that I got approached and I got asked to coach another club as well as that, but it was a paid role, and then I have gained other coaching jobs within that, but it's all started off from a voluntary basis.
Right.
As a way to progress a subject I was taking in year 10.
Good, that's quite a lot that you've done then.
Yeah.
Good. And why have you chosen to work for us?
Yeah, so I've looked on your reviews at the time of applying, and all of the customers have been saying that it's a great company, the kids really enjoy it, and even there is a couple of reviews from staff, and they say how rewarding the job is. But yeah, it's great.
Good. And so you might know that our coaches have to work with children of all ages. So how would you deal with a 5-year-old who was looking upset in the session? I don't know whether you've come across that sort of scenario before.
Yeah, so what I'd do from my experience, another coaching role in the primary school I've worked at, I would firstly speak to the child. I'd ask him to walk. I'd walk over to him and say, "Can we just have a little chat at the side?" Just because then he wouldn't feel like he's embarrassed to make the situation worse. And I'd speak to the child, and if he was saying that he didn't feel like he was getting on as well, I would give him lots of encouragement. Should we go back in? Should we do a quick high five before we go back in? Show everyone how good you are, really encourage them.
Right, okay, so it sounds like you've got quite a lot of experience of that type of thing. So effective communication is required with other coaches. So how would you plan a session with, let's say, 3 other coaches when you're working remotely from each other?
Yeah, so firstly, I'd send out an email to all of the 3 coaches that were required and propose a date for a conference call.
Okay.
Where we would plan the session with, I'd say this is what we would like to cover. Please can you have prepared a few activities that we could do, and then on that conference call we could set out an idea, but then say in a week's time could we have a catch up, and then a few days after, once that's completed, can you all email me your work, and then we would discuss the plan even further the weekend after that session.
Right, good, okay. And tell me what strengths you think you bring to the role of coach.
Yeah, so I feel like I've got good leadership, and that my one-to-one coaching is good. But yeah, I feel like my strengths within my experience as a coach. I've learned that there are different ways of getting the best out of people. Certain children really enjoy this. Once they get, 7 years old, they no longer enjoy being taught this way, so you have to progress
Right, okay.
onto another way. But yeah.
Good, okay. And how would you look to develop your role as a coach?
Yeah, so this would be where I would look at, doing other coaching qualifications for additional sports, for example, dodgeball, badminton, hockey, different sports to branching out a bit to develop my role as a coach and maybe progress on to the FA level 2 or move on to the FA goalkeeper level 1 to widen my football knowledge, but certainly looking to gaining qualifications for different sports.
Good, okay. And let's say you're in a session and you have a disagreement with a fellow coach. What would you do?
Yeah, so in that situation, firstly, I would know that as coaches that there's paying customers in watching that session. So for example, parents and children. So as a coach, I would need to act professionally and let it blow over, and just focus on the job that on representing myself and the company, and leading or assisting within the delivery of this session, and for it to get the best out of it. I don't feel like if there is a disagreement, let it go over. Once everyone has left the premises, then I would speak to the coach, because if other customers would see me having a disagreement with another coach, that would look unprofessional and could reflect on the business's revenue.
Good, okay. And how would you ensure that a coaching session is suitable for all levels of ability?
Yeah, so what I would do in that situation is where you have some kids that struggle with or say if it's a football session where we're looking to develop passing, for the children that do struggle with passing and they are good at passing, what I wouldn't want to do is mix them all up together, because on the one hand the advantage would be that, say, the not so good child, the passing in football, would see how another person's passing, which could maybe improve them, but when the very good players or the participants who have better ability, they need to be receiving the pass, but I'd look to separate the group into, I'd pick them up, I'd split them into pairs or groups with people of their similar ability.
Good, okay. And finally, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so how could I progress within the company if I was to get employed?
Well, over a period of time there will be opportunities to become the senior coach, and then potentially looking after a group of coaches as well after a few years.
That's great, thank you very much.
Okay, good.